If you can't buy it in full or if you can't buy it in cash, you can't afford it. And then even Jay-Z came out and said, if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Now, that's just not practical. You can't go to a car lot and walk off with 2 cars. Who's even buying 2 cars at one time, right? We're not doing that. It might not sound like a great idea, but sometimes getting into debt can help you get out of debt. So we'll talk about those reasons. Let's get into it now. Hey Queens, welcome back to my channel. I'm Clarissa and I am the Budget Queen. I help working women make, manage, and multiply their money so that they can live their best lives without going broke to do it. Today, I'm going to be giving you my 5 good reasons for going into debt. Now I know a lot of people from the debt-free community is like, Clarissa, you teach us how to get out of debt. You teach us financial freedom. Why are you saying there's good reasons for going into debt? Okay, hear me out. I am going to give you these 5 reasons, so you have to stay to the very end so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Number 1, a great investment opportunity. A good opportunity can be a real estate investment, a business idea, or even if you want to invest in the stock market. Now, I would say that if you are going to invest in the stock market, make sure you know what you're doing and you understand how stocks work. You always want to look at what the risk level is before you get into any of those investment opportunities. Make sure it's something that you're extremely comfortable with. So for example, let's say you can borrow money at 5% interest, and then you have the probability of gaining 15 to 20% return on that money. That would be a really good reason to go into debt in order to be able to multiply your money. Regardless of what type of investment it is, if you have the opportunity to make more money, it's always a good idea. If you are going to take advantage of any opportunities, you have to make sure that the risk level is something that you're comfortable with. Number 2, buying a house. Now, we all can't afford to go buy a $100,000 house or a $200,000 house. And if Jay-Z had his way, 2 houses. If you do want to buy a house, you have the opportunity to get money from the bank. So you can use the bank's money to invest in your own home. Now, if your mortgage payments were the same amount or even less than what you're paying in rent, it would be a really good idea to get a house because you get more for your money, and then at the end of it, once it's paid off, it's actually yours. Because a house may appreciate in value, it would be a good investment because if you were to go and sell that house, then you would get money on top of what you've already paid. You can then use that house to pass down to your children. If they want to, they can either live in there for free, only paying taxes, or they can sell it and get all of the profit. Buying a house is one of the American dreams, right? I wanted to buy my first house. You're talking to a girl that grew up in the projects who didn't have anything. I wanted a great life for me and my children, and owning a house was one of my biggest goals, and I was able to accomplish that. Now, I didn't have $100,000 just sitting in my bank account to go and buy a house, right? Who has that? But I did have an opportunity to get a loan from the bank, and I utilized that in order to be able to buy me and my children our first home. Number 3, starting a business. So we kind of touched on this in number 1, but it deserves its own number. If you are going to start a business that could potentially give you 10 times more money than it did to start the business, that's a really good investment, right? A lot of people use a little bit of money to start up their business or any side hustle, and then that comes back to them in great returns, right? So that will be a really good idea to do that if you're thinking of starting a side hustle or starting a business. Number 4, education. Now, if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything that requires formal education, you're going to need to go to school. School costs money. It is not free, as we all know, right? A lot of us are still paying Sallie Mae or Navient or whoever your loan officers are. Make sure the profession that you're going into is going to be able to cover your loans once you're done. But it's still not to say that taking out loans for school is a bad idea, right? It depends on what you want to do and what plans you have for your life. Just make sure that you are borrowing responsibly. Going into debt could be a really good thing if you are going to be seeking a lucrative profession. I would say, and this is my own opinion, do not go into debt for a job that will not be able to pay your student loans. It's kind of like you're working backwards. I understand that we all want to do what we love, but if you want to do that profession, you might want to look into paying for school out of pocket or seeing if you could get some type of scholarship. Number 5, using a lower interest rate loan. This is one of my favorite. So it's more so like a balance transfer or getting a personal loan to pay off something like a car or a credit card, right? So let's say, for example, you have a credit card at 22.99% interest, and you have the opportunity to get another credit card in order to be able to pay off that credit card, and you have 0% interest for the first 24 or 48 months. That is a no-brainer. You're paying less in interest, and every dollar that you put towards that card is going to your principal. That'll allow you to pay it off 20 times faster, and it'll be much easier to cover your payments as well. Just be mindful that you don't start using that other card like you used the first one. Don't start using it for any and everything. Use it for the sole purpose of paying down the other card. And the other thing, make sure you read all of the fine print. It's important that you understand what those terms are so you don't get into more debt. I paid off $43,000 in credit card debt in just 16 months. This was one of the strategies that I actually used to help me pay off that debt. Some people will tell you that going into debt is a bad thing, but it's not always bad. This is what I say. There is good debt and there's bad debt. Now here's the difference between the two. Now good debt is anything that is going to help you make an investment and to reap profit from that investment, right? It's anything that's going to help you acquire more money, to get more income. And bad debt is something that you use to acquire depreciating assets or liabilities, and that's stuff like you're buying your shoes or getting a new car or doing anything like that, right? You want to get things that are going to help you make money. So think about the long term. Is opening this credit card something where I'm going to be using for strictly the rewards? Is it something that I'm going to be using to make some money off of? Am I getting a sign-on bonus? What are you opening that card for, or what are you getting that loan for? And you have to be very mindful that you're using it for those purposes only. Because what will happen is you'll really get into debt, and it's going to be really hard to dig yourself out of. So next time somebody asks you about getting into debt, just know that there are some reasons that are okay for you to go into debt, but just make sure that you're being very careful and being very proactive in paying it off. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.